Hi, today I'm going to try to record myself making some challah bread from one of my favorite recipe books, Ultimate Southern Living Cookbook. Of course, I have used this thing to death and the pages are literally coming out, so I don't know what the heck I'm going to do to keep my poor little book together. Here is the recipe, and I've gotten out all of my ingredients. This is some flour that I bought at the Soulard Farmers Market in St. Louis, Missouri. Of course, we're not there anymore, and I'm sad because that was a really awesome farmers market. Here is some Spectrum vegetable shortening, some sesame seeds, some organic milk, a couple of packs of active dry yeast. I love the Rapunzel brand because seriously, before this, my yeast just had a mind of its own and didn't seem to rise. Some organic honey, and this is the nice good honey that you kind of spoon out. Some sea salt, and of course some eggs. So stay tuned while I get my yeast mixture going, and I'll be back to show you, I guess, the next step. Stay tuned. Okay, I'm going to add 1.5 cups of whole milk. The recipe says fat-free milk, but we use whole milk around these parts. And I'm not going to let it boil. It's not like I'm trying to make chocolate or anything like that. I'm just trying to basically warm the milk up enough in order to add my 2 packs of yeast. So once my milk is heated just a little bit, then I'm going to add the yeast mixture, and I'm going to let it sit so that my yeast mixture can rise. Okay, I've added 1 packet of yeast, and I'm adding the other packet of yeast to my 1.5 cups of milk. So I'm just going to give this a bit of a stir. Oh, here comes the younger mommy. I know, I see her. Here's my little friend, Miss Ayana. Off camera. There's Amira. So I'm going to let that sit, and I am going to start mixing up my dry ingredients. Oh, my other friend wants to be on camera too. And there she is. And there she is. Okay, have to go rescue somebody from the table. Now I'm going to add 5.5 cups of flour. It's a little hard to try to get the flour and add it. Of course, I'm going to use my handy stand mixer because I learned that it makes life a lot easier than trying to mix it with my hand. I have my children in the background while I'm recording. So I'm going to add my 5.5 cups of flour and a teaspoon of salt, and I'll show what it looks like after it's been mixed. Yeast mixture is nice and fluffy, so now I'm going to add this to the well I made in the center of the milk and flour mixture. And now I'm going to put this. I have my bread mixer on here, and I'm going to lower it. And I think maybe I kind of started off a little slow just to kind of let it mix a little bit, and you know, gradually I'll increase it. Okay, now I'm going to add my 1/2 cup of egg. The recipe calls for egg substitute, but since I'm not making the fat-free version, I just use 3 eggs. So I put 2 eggs in here plus the yolk of this 3rd egg, and then I'm going to add my 1/4 cup of shortening, and then I'm going to add my honey. But of course I'm going to need both of my hands to scoop out this. Look at this honey. So and I'm definitely going to need both my hands to scoop out this and put it into here, and then I will show you what the mix looks like after I've added these 3. Okay, so I have everything working in the mixer. So the mixer's doing its thing. I have it on the first setting, and basically the mixer is going to do the work for me so that I don't have to have bodybuilder arms to stir all that dough. So I have to see what the consistency of the dough, because you want to gradually add flour so that the dough, you want it to be a little sticky, but you don't want it to be like gooey sticky to where it like sticks to your hands. So at this point is where I'm going to add probably about maybe 1.5 cups to 2 cups of flour, and to see what my dough looks like. So we'll be back because I have to get out my other flour to add to the dough. I've added a little bit more flour, and see how the dough is kind of starting to pull away from the sides of the bowl, which is actually what you wanted to do. So I'm going to stop mixing it in probably about another 2 to 3 minutes. I'm going to add a little bit more flour, and I'll be back to show what the dough looks like from then. This is what I want the dough to look like. So now I'm going to stop it, and I'm going to put it out on my countertop and begin kneading it with my hand. Okay, so I'm going to start kneading my dough. I have my surface nice and floured, and see how the dough is kind of bumpy looking. So I want to make it into a smooth work of art. So of course I cannot record and knead. I'm gonna need both of my hands for that. Stay tuned. Okay, so now that my dough is museum quality, I'm going to place it in my well greased bowl, and this recipe calls that you preheat the oven to 200 degrees, which I did already while I was incorporating all my ingredients and putting everything together. And once you finish kneading the dough, you turn off the oven and you let the dough rise in the heated oven. Do not put the dough in the oven if the oven is still on. So my oven is off, as you can see, and I'm now going to put the dough in the oven so that it can rise in a warm oven. So I'm not going to cover the dough either. I'm just going to stick it right here in this nice cozy oven, and I'm going to close the door and I'm going to let it rise. Okay, it's been a few hours, and this is what the dough looks like. So I'm going to punch this down and then make it into the shape of some bread. Okay, so I just cut the bread in 2 sections, and now I'm going to section each one of these off into, this is going to be 3 and this one is going to be 3, and then I'm going to show the finished product in a moment.